Yes, people, Manscaped is back, but this time it's not for below the belt grooming. Manscaped brings to you the Beard Hedger, the best product on the market when it comes to beard trimmers. The Beard Hedger is unique due to its number of gradient settings. As someone who's purchased this, I won't turn to any other beard trimmer. Check it out for yourself at manscaped.com. And don't forget to use code FTM20 to get 20% off of this product.
Yes, good evening, people. Hope you're well. Big up to all of you for being here. Over 100 of you already joining within the first minute and a half. That is amazing. Great, great stuff. Hope you've all enjoyed your weekend. I hope you enjoyed the sunshine. We're in the UK today. It's been lovely. And we are expecting a heat wave. My goodness. Please make sure that you're careful out there. Big up to all of you. Great to see so many of you in the chat. Great to see so many new people as well as regulars. Make sure you've hit a like on this video. Make sure you've subscribed. That's the first two things to do. Absolutely free. 2 buttons that mean so much and that mean a lot to the channel. And they're easy to do, that are free. So please make sure that you do that. Please support our sponsors, Manscaped. All you've got to do is click on the link to the pinned comment that's in your chat and it will take you straight to the website. All you've got to do is select Beard and Face and Beard Hedger, add it to your cart, and you'll see that automatically 20% will come off of it. So please make sure that you do that. Get that deal in quick while you can. It is very, very much important. Big up to everyone for being here. Let's go through the chat very, very quickly. Big up to Tony, Ash, Sean, Bo, Patrick, Mum, Bradley. Who else is there? Carol, Matt, Niffin, Sam, Luke, Dan, Ola, and everyone else, of course, that I've missed and that is watching on catch up. I hope you've all enjoyed your day, your weekend, and I hope that you're looking forward to what is going to be a very interesting transfer market. The window is open, the rumors are flying around, and a lot of it is actually looking at Arsenal players. Now, some of them are outgoing. We're going to discuss today. We're going to discuss some of the incomings. We're going to look to how the midfield might be at Arsenal as we kick off against Wolves in the first game. What is that window shutting going to do to our midfield? Is it going to look very, very different? I kind of hope so. Not because I don't rate it, because we definitely need some depth and some players. Arsenal linked with midfielders. Arsenal also linked with strikers. We're going to go all out and take a look at some of the rumours that's happening at the moment. So please make sure that we do that. If you want to go check out today's stream as well, then earlier on you can do, which was reaction from, of course, Manchester United and Arsenal, who played in the early hours of this morning, where a lot of us are very tired and still recovering now, to be honest with you. So, yeah, early one. After this, I'll probably be getting some Z's and then wake up in the morning for Transfer Talk at 8:30. So please make sure that you've hit the notification bell so that you know when we are next on, which will be bright and early tomorrow morning, hopefully with some sunshine for 8:30 a.m. So, without further ado, what are we going to be talking about first? Well, we're going to be talking about Fabrizio Romano because he, at the moment, has been very busy, as he always is. Fabrizio Romano is talking about Arsenal links, and he's talking about all sorts of links, actually, as it goes. But Mikel Merino is the guy that he is discussing. And it looks as if Arsenal are in the hunt for him and are favourites for him. Now, we've been linked with him for a while, so it shouldn't come of any surprise or shock that this is a name that's linked with the club. It's a player that Mikel Arteta has looked at and liked for a very long time. Apparently, he's been an admirer of him and has been looking at him for quite some time now. It's not a player that anybody really knew much about until the Euros, where we got to see it firsthand. And he's a player that, of course, is an exciting one. He's not one that's going to move the needle, in my opinion, if this was to happen. But it's certainly one that's going to come into the midfield role and give some experience and some stability. And right about now, Fabrizio Romano is suggesting that we are favourites. Let's share the screen and see what he has been saying. This always, for me, is the most reliable of sources. I like Fabrizio Romano and what he brings, and a lot of the rumours that he suggests, I believe. I think they've got some legs. So this one, apparently, according to Fabrizio Romano, says that Arsenal are prepared to advance in talks with Mikel Merino's camp next week after positive contacts. He's not the only name on the list, which is very promising. We'll come back to that in a minute. But he's well positioned. The price tag requested by Real Sociedad will be key. Arteta appreciates him. And as soon as Smith-Rowe leaves, Arsenal can proceed. Now, there is definite rumours around Emil Smith-Rowe, and we're going to touch on that. There's rumours that it's not the only midfielder that we're in for. Now, we'll come back to that in a minute as well. But let's talk about Mikel Merino. What will he bring to Arsenal? Well, what he'll bring to Arsenal is a bit of experience. He's not the usual. He's not the usual young 22, 23-year-old that we believe is going to be in our midfield for the next 10 years, next 5 to 10 years. What he is, though, is an experienced head at 28. He's played a lot of football for club and country. That's seen as one of the most reliable and consistent performance in the Real Sociedad team. Has wore the armband, so he's definitely got some leadership qualities. He can play in the 8 and he can play in the double pivot, but he's not really known to play in the 6, from what I hear. Now, I don't watch La Liga a lot. I don't watch Real Sociedad enough, but obviously Zubamendi is the guy that they play in the 6, and he is the guy that plays more in the 8 when they do play that formation. So what that means for Arsenal is that we can have an opportunity to play this guy as the box-to-box midfielder. And I've been crying out for a box-to-box midfielder for God knows how long. It seems to me, personally, that Declan Rice is the only one we've got that can actually play box-to-box, because Fabio Vieira, Kai Havertz, Smith-Rowe, who else has played there? A few. They're all very attack-minded. There's nobody with the defensive qualities other than Declan Rice who's played in that 8 role. Now, if you like Declan Rice in that 8 role, which I do, he's the only one we've got that's any form of box-to-box midfielder. So Mikel Merino will come in and be that guy that either starts when one of them is out, or if Declan Rice is in the 6, he could play in the 8, or he could actually play in a double pivot if we was to go into that role. So there's a few options there, in my opinion, for us to be looking at. And if I share my screen and talk about a bit more in detail what I mean, I think it might make a little bit more sense, or I hope to anyway. This is the best I can do with a tactics board, people. So apologies that it's not Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher style, but I'll give you an idea of what I mean. So for me, when I look at our midfield trio, we've got Rice, Ødegaard, and in this case, Merino. Okay, and we know now that that is probably going to be the 3, or at least the formation that Arsenal played, with Rice at the anchor of midfield in the 6, Ødegaard obviously playing in the attacking 10, and then we have the 8 position, which Mikel Merino can take up. Now, Mikel Merino plays there for Real Sociedad, and when he did play for Spain, was definitely a lot more higher up than into a double pivot. As you remember, in the Euros, they had Rodri, they had Fabian Ruiz, and then they had him over in the left-hand side. So I can put a number of positions on the board. We don't need to see the whole 11. We know what the 11 of Arsenal is, right? So believe this is a budget version of what Jamie Carragher does, or a budget version, as Nifen has said in the chat, of what James B does on AFTV. I can't afford that tactics board, right? So just bear with me. So these are the 3 that we've got. Now, for me, we've got an opportunity here to do a couple of things. Ødegaard, I don't think needs to drift too much. But if he did drift at all, and we wanted to play Merino in more of a different role, we could allow Ødegaard to be more central as a number 10, and then we could allow Merino and Rice to play in a double pivot. That would work. That would definitely work. And what that actually does is it allows for Partey and Jorginho, who really can only play in the 6. Partey and Jorginho's role is around here. If one of those don't play, and we have, normally, Partey would be here, Rice would be here, and Ødegaard would be here, as we have in the 6, 8, and 10. If Partey or Jorginho was not to be there, and we had to have Merino come in, and we didn't want to play Merino in the 8, then we have the option to play double pivot and have Ødegaard in the number 10. So for me, you need to have the opportunity to bring in someone who either can play in a 6 or an 8, or you use Rice, Partey, and Jorginho as the 6. And when one of them or 2 of them aren't about, which could happen with Partey and Jorginho's age and injury problems to Thomas Partey, you have the opportunity of Merino to play in a double pivot there as well. Now, from what I hear, he's pretty good in both, but he's definitely better or used more from Sociedad in the left 8. So I think it could be interesting to see where Arsenal's midfield starts to progress. And it might be that in and out of position, we start to change things up. It might be that in possession, we look to go more of a double pivot. Out of possession, Rice drops back into that 6. It might be that Thomas Partey starts and we have Rice and or Merino in with Partey. So there's options we've got there. So I think this signing could be a very good one. And it's one that we're definitely interested in for sure. We've been linked with this guy for a couple of weeks now. Even when he was playing in the Euros, Arsenal were really interested in the player. And we were all interested in looking at him as Gooners, thinking, what's this guy about? Now, what I liked about his game was not just the fact that he was comfortable on the ball, but he was really physically imposing, Merino. And if Romano's got this one right and that Arsenal are going to go all out for him, I think this one has got definite legs. Now, the interesting part to the quotes of what Romano was saying was the first part of the value is key. The value from Real Sociedad and the price of what they want for him is being quoted at 20 to 25 million. So this is an easy one to do, people. Trust me, this is easy. There's absolutely no way that we can let this one drop. If he wants Arsenal, I think we can get him. Now, there's rumours, of course, that other clubs are interested. There were suggestions that Atletico Madrid were very interested. There were suggestions that Barcelona were also very interested. But if I'm honest, it looks as if it's going to be Mikel Merino to Arsenal. Now, I must say, there's a lot of talk about Arsenal and Merino, and has been for a while. And the reports from Matt Moretto, if anybody believes he is reliable, are suggesting that Arsenal are favourites too. So let's take a look at what he's saying about Merino, because there's a lot of people talking about him at the moment and the links to Arsenal. This has come from AFC Stuff, which I do follow quite a lot. I don't know if anybody else does, but it just is a Twitter page where all of the journalists' rumours and sources get thrown onto the page in relation to Arsenal. And it's saying that Arsenal's interest in Mikel Merino is alive after new talks in recent days. Atletico Madrid tried to include him in the deal for Robin Lenormand, who, of course, Lenormand was centre-half in the Euros, but the player delayed. Barcelona are also interested, but they are focused on other targets right now. Could one of those other targets be Nico Williams? More on that as the weeks progress, or as the days progress, should I say. So it looks like Arsenal are in pole position, people. It looks like we want him. Looks like we want the player. Looks like the player wants Arsenal. And if I'm honest with you, I think it's good news. And it should be that if he wants Arsenal, we can get him, because Mikel Arteta is apparently a big fan of him. Mikel Arteta likes him. Mikel Arteta has said that he's a player he's followed and admired for a while. And a player in the Real Sociedad midfield, along with Zubamendi, another player we've looked at previously, that would be seen as a loss if he was to go. But 20 to 25 million, that's a steal, the absolute steal for me. So I have to say, if this one has any legs whatsoever, Arsenal have to do it. Like, they really have to. And for me, there's options, as I've shown on the tactics board there, to go into a double pivot, should that be the case that's needed, or he can play in the 8. We saw him score against Germany in the semi-finals for Spain. Definitely a threat in the air. As you saw, he scored a header there. And offensively as well as defensively, from aerial threats, I feel like he could be a massive key part. And that was one of the reasons I wanted Youssouf Fofana at Arsenal as a box-to-box 8. Not just because of that position in the 8 and box-to-box, but because aerially he was a threat. I remember watching him against Arsenal in the Emirates Cup last season against Monaco. And I thought, wow, he's the guy we need, right? So for me, I've been really, really impressed with his performances. But if Mikel Merino is the guy that Mikel Arteta wants and he believes he can get something out of him, fair play. The last thing I want to say on this as well is that I look at his style and it could be the closest that we get to Granit Xhaka. Now, people might laugh at that and go, my God, Arsenal trying to get hold of Granit Xhaka, a player they had for 7 years that was only good for 2. Well, guess what, people? We actually missed him last season. Whether you like him, whether you don't like him, we missed him. Now, I had nothing wrong with Granit Xhaka leaving. I thought for the 7 years he was at the club, he had 18 months where he was quality. The rest of it, he was pretty average. But you've got to replace him. And I don't think we did last season. With El Neni pretty much missing the whole year, Partey missing a lot of football, Jorginho coming in here and there but not having the legs to play consistently, and Declan Rice playing way too much football, we definitely miss Granit Xhaka, for sure. So for me, it's not about let's get him back. It's about how we move on from him and how we replace and upgrade on him. And let's see what Merino can do. I don't watch Merino every week in La Liga. I don't think La Liga that he's coming from La Liga to win us the league in playing every single game. For me, I see him as more of a rotation and squad player. And at 20-25 million, I expect that to be the case. He's not a player that we look at and go, right, we get him, we're complete. Arsenal win the league. He's just a piece of the jigsaw puzzle. There's a lot more for Arsenal to do. Trust me. So for me, the other thing that was really interesting was not just the price, which we believe is 20 to 25 million, but also when Smith-Rowe leaves, Arsenal will proceed. So it looks to me as if Smith-Rowe is coming out and we're then looking to do this deal-by-deal thing. So I think we will deal with the Calafiori, we'll deal with the Smith-Rowe, we'll deal with Mikel Merino, Eddie Nketiah will go, we'll deal with someone else, Nelson will go, we'll deal with someone else. And that's unfortunately just how Arsenal work. And it is frustrating that we don't seem to do things simultaneously. that we can't let Edu deal with the sales of Nelson, Eddie and Smith-Rowe and then let maybe Garlic try and bring in some of the players and conversations with the incomings. It's just the way that it works at the moment. We try to do deal by deal. And a lot of people get frustrated about that. And I can see why. But Fabrizio Romano says it's going to be pole position for Arsenal to get him. So let's take a look at what we believe is going to be the outgoings at Arsenal. Now, Emil Smith-Rowe is one that we believe is probably going to happen. And of course, we can talk about incomings afterwards as well. But Emil Smith-Rowe is going to be able to get us £35 million. Now, £35 million is good and a good offer, in my opinion, from Fulham. For a player that's, 12, 18 months of football, has played probably 12, 18 games tops in those 2 years, I would suggest it's very good money. And I think that one's going to get done. I expect the here we go from Romano very soon to suggest that that one's taken place. And then we can then move, of course, for Emil Smith-Rowe. And I've been a big fan of Emil Smith-Rowe, but it's sometimes time not to be sentimental and say thanks for the memories, cheers for the Champions League football, but we're now going for the title. And it's a player that we believe we can upgrade upon or we can make do without and use that money elsewhere. So I think that's the way we've got to look at Smith-Rowe. Whether you believe it could be a regret, I'm not so sure. And I spoke earlier about Ethan Nwaneri and about how he could step up and actually how he could be used in a Smith-Rowe mould. And people might think that's not right. It's a downgrade. He's not ready. But Smith-Rowe hardly played last year. Ethan Nwaneri might get more games than Smith-Rowe did last year in the league, cup games, etc. So I don't think that we can sit there and go, wow, we're going to miss Smith-Rowe this season. Because he didn't play anyway last year, right? So that's the way we've got to look at it. Ethan Nwaneri, I hope he has a good season. I don't expect him to play any more than between 10 and 12 games, if I'm honest. But those could be really key because pre-season's proving to me that he's ready, man. He looks a very, very good footballer. Very, very good. The other one we expect to get done, let's be real, we're expecting this to get done 2-3 weeks ago. And it looks like now finally we can say, here we go, it's going to be happening. That is, of course, Ricardo Calafiori. Big fan from what I hear. Going to be a real talent. His medical's done. Carvalho set to travel to the USA from London together with his agents, and he'll sign a 5-year deal as the new Arsenal player in the US. And then he's expected to debut over there. So hopefully we get to see him make an appearance against Liverpool on the 1st of August. So let's watch this space because this one could be an interesting one. And once that deal gets done, we are being told that we will progress more. So it looks to me as if we're waiting now for that one to get confirmed, Smith-Rowe to be put out, and then it looks like we're going to go and get Mikel Merino as our next signing. So I think in the coming days, Arsenal are going to be busy. And too right, they should be. This is the busy period of time. They've had enough time to target who they want. Got Calafiori in the door. Got the young goalkeeper that we need to look at, in my opinion, again, as a department. If Ramsdale goes, we're looking to get Merino, and they want one more. And then there's the winger and striker situation that all the fans are crying out for. Now, I want to go back to Fabrizio Romano quote. Mikel Merino is not the only option that Arsenal are looking at. That, to me, is very, very exciting because that means that they want more than one midfielder. Now, it could mean that they're looking at Merino and another one and they only want one. But I don't think that's the case. I think they need another midfielder in there. So if you've got Declan Rice, Thomas Partey and Jorginho that can all play in the 6, and you've got Merino that can play double pivot and 6, Rice that can play double pivot and 8, Rice that can play 6 and 8, I think we might need to look at somebody else that can come in and play the 6 and the 8. And I don't know whether it's going to be a De Jong, a Bruno Guimaraes. I'd be shocked and stunned if it is. Maybe it's a Joshua Kimmich. Maybe that's more realistic at 40 or 50 million pounds that Bayern Munich are being touted to wanting to sell him for. Or maybe it's a Fabian Ruiz who we're being linked with an obligation loan, 35, 40 million they're looking to sell him for. A lot of people are poo-pooing that, saying they don't want him because he's been poor for PSG. Well, trust me, he wasn't poor for Napoli. He wasn't poor for Spain. So I would suggest it's probably a PSG problem. Because when you're playing like that for your club and country, when you go to PSG and things happen like that, which we've seen before, by the way, I 100% believe that there would be a real good opportunity for us to get Fabian Ruiz. And I think with Ruiz and Merino, you've potentially got two very similar players, but I actually think one of them is a lot more physically imposing. The other one is a lot more comfortable on the ball. Merino's definitely got the physical qualities and attributes. And I think when you look at Ruiz as a player in the Euros, who I thought was one of the players of the tournament on the ball, I thought he was very, very comfortable. So let's see what happens there. I think another one coming in could be exciting. So that will be strength in depth for sure. For me, when you've got Partey and Jorginho that you're going to potentially play 15, 20 games, wrapping cotton wool and only use in emergencies, that leaves you Rice, potentially Ruiz and Merino to then play the other games. So hopefully they could be, and someone's made a good point, Ruiz is 6'2" as well. So yeah, that could be really interesting. Just want to answer this question because a lot of people have asked me this. Sports Genius says, Dan, when are you coming to America? The AFTV guys are getting lit over here. I would absolutely love to. I'm not coming this preseason, unfortunately. But if we go there next year, it is my dream to get out there. So that is probably when I'm next going to try to go for it. So big up to you all, man. Really appreciate it. Look, there's 800 of you in here. This is amazing numbers. Please do me a favor and hit the like button. We've only got 179 likes, which is really poor considering there's 800 people in here. That should easily get to 400 because it's only 50%. So that means there's over 700 of you that have not hit the like button yet. So come on, people, let's make sure you do that, please. All you got to do is hit the like and the subscribe. It's 2 buttons that are free. And it does so much for the channel, people. So please make sure you hit those 2 buttons for me. Click on the pinned comment. Get yourself some beard trimmers from Manscaped with a 20% off. Don't miss that deal. And then, yeah, we're all happy. There we go. Over 200 likes. Let's get it up to 400 likes now quickly, people. Let's see who's the 400th liker. And they can shout out in the chat who that is. So that's midfield. Midfield's a very interesting one, right? Midfield's something we need to revamp. Midfield is a position that in the next 2-3 years, we might look back at and go, worrying right now. Partey's gone. Jorginho's gone. We've only got Rice. So where do we go there? Is Fabio Vieira and Ethan Nwaneri going to be looked as options to cover for Ødegaard? And that's where I want to go next. Ødegaard's clearly one of the best players. He's clearly going to play in that 10, in that attacking 8, right? For me, after him, there's a bit of a problem. And the reason there's a bit of a problem is because I think Smith-Rowe was the best option to cover for Ødegaard. Now, I've got no real problem with him leaving. This is like a Granit Xhaka situation, though, now. The Granit Xhaka situation was you're leaving, but you're going to be replaced, and he never was. If we let Smith-Rowe go and we don't replace him, that could be a problem. Now, I don't know enough about Ethan Nwaneri to believe he's going to come in and be better than Smith-Rowe. I hope that he will be. But I can't help but believe that we need an Eze. And an Eze would come in and potentially cover a number of positions. The left 8, the number 10, the left wing, the right wing, if Saka was to need a rest. I personally believe this is an absolute no-brainer. And with a release clause too that we can activate, Crystal Palace can't say, no, he's not for sale. The problem we've got is it isn't just Arsenal interested. City are lurking around. They want him or Olmo. Spurs have been lurking around for ages. I believe Manchester United could get this deal done if they're serious about it. Liverpool have got money to do it if they want. Hell, Chelsea, if they really wanted, or Newcastle could. There's a number of players here, teams here, that would like this player. I really do pray and hope with all my might that it's Arsenal. I know from links that have told me they know him in the club that he likes Arsenal. And more importantly, Arsenal like him. Eze, watch this space. That's what I'm going to say. I would love Arsenal to get Eze. £60 million release clause with £8 million in add-ons. I think that is a good deal. People will say it's a lot of money. He's 26. He's an England international now. He's versatile. He can play left 8. He can play number 10. Can play left wing. Or, to be fair, right wing and come in for Saka if he's needed. That is a versatile player, and it's one that you absolutely 100% try and go for. So, I believe, personally, this should be one that Arsenal are all over. I don't know if it will happen. No one's told me it will. Nobody's told me it won't. I think it's a player we need to absolutely look at because he's Premier League proven. It's not mad money. People might think it is, but it's not. Not in this day and age. When Antony's 90 million, Jack Grealish is 100 million, Pepe was 72 million. Let's be real. This is not a lot of money. Yeah. It's a lot of money back in 10 years ago. But for now, when you've got a player that's that versatile, that's Premier League proven, that scores goals, that creates, I think he'd be an absolute dream of a signing. And it shouldn't be an unrealistic target. He plays for Crystal Palace. We're not trying to tempt someone from Real Madrid here. Arsenal are in a good place. If Eze wants to go for a title, he goes to City or Arsenal. This should not be a hard deal. And I think a player who was already in our books and left at 12 years old, wanting to come back, I think he could be a real talent. And I think it could be a fantastic signing. So that's what I would like. What's potentially more realistic is that he keeps Fabio Vieira and he looks at Ethan Nwaneri. Now, I've got pros and cons about that. The pros are, I like Ethan Nwaneri. The cons are, I don't like Fabio Vieira. And is Nwaneri going to be ready to come in to replace Ødegaard if needed? So there's more pros to cons for not getting a replacement for Smith-Rowe. Hell, a lot of people said that we needed one anyway. Maybe Kai Havertz is that guy. I don't think he is. I don't want to see him dropping into midfield. I personally want to see him as number 9 and that's it. And if he's not starting in the 9, he comes on and he plays in the 9. He doesn't drop into midfield like he did in the early hours of this morning against United where he was poor. And he missed the penalty, by the way. It was saved. So for me personally, I think we look at Eze as somebody who is a potential to come to Arsenal. I really think that would be a phenomenal signing and one that I think Arsenal should be all over. That's for sure. So Calafiori's done. We're linked with a couple of midfielders. Smith-Rowe is going to be leaving. It looks as if we're going to be either getting in somebody or we stick with Nwaneri and Fabio Vieira. And Fabio Vieira, by the way, people think I'm harsh. I just don't get it, I'm afraid. I don't think he's good enough. I think he's weak and lightweight. I don't think the player's got anything other than a good way to pass and potentially a good left foot, but he doesn't get on the ball enough for me because he's always on the floor. Most of the positives that I've seen from Fabio Vieira has been when he's drifted over to the left-hand side of the pitch. But Mikel Arteta at the moment seems to be using him, or definitely in the last few games that he's played him last season and this, towards the right-hand side more. I can think of moments where Fabio Vieira has done well, assisting Ødegaard against Wolves from the left, assisting Martinelli against Villa from the left, assisting Eddie Nketiah against Forest and Fulham at home from the left. Everything's from the left. But he doesn't seem to want to play him there anymore, which is very odd. Very odd. Listen, there's nearly 900 of you in here now. That's unbelievable numbers. Do me a favor, people. Make sure you hit that like button. We just hit 300 likes. We need to get that up to 450 people. Come on. We're going to get it to 50%. That's all I ask. Hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe as well, please. We're trying to get to 30K. We're getting there really quickly, man. It's absolutely mad how quickly you guys are getting us there, man. You're absolute legends. In the last few days, it's been incredible. So please make sure you hit the like button and we will move very quickly towards 30K as a community. So please make sure you do that, people. Now, listen. There are some rumours that Arsenal are going to be selling players. Smith-Rowe is obviously one of them. The other two that are being mentioned to leave are Reiss Nelson and Eddie Nketiah. Now, it looks as if Reiss Nelson is probably going to go to Leicester. West Ham and Forest were being interested for a while, but it doesn't look like they're going to come in with a bid. But Leicester are looking to try and get him with a loan with an obligation to buy, which is fine. Loans with options to buy are not great. I don't mind the Tavares one because it's loan with obligation to Lazio. I don't particularly like the Lokonga one because it's a loan to Seville, isn't it? A loan to Seville with an option of 12 million to buy. Not too good. But obligations to buy are great, which is what Marseille are trying to do with Eddie Nketiah and Reiss Nelson, Leicester are trying to do. For me, if we can try and get £20 million for Reiss Nelson, I think we should do it. If we get anything over 30 for Eddie Nketiah, I think we sell him. That means you're touching 90 to 100 million on the free HLM boys, which is going to be 100% profit that you can put on one player, two players maybe. It would be good business. Selling Nelson for 20, Eddie for 30, and Smith-Rowe for 35. I think you've got to say fair play. Like, fair play. It looks like good business for everybody all round. Because they're getting young players. I know they're not kids anymore, but they're 23, 24, and 25, I believe. Smith-Rowe, I believe, is 24 today. Eddie Nketiah, I think, is 25 years old now, 24. And then you've got Reiss Nelson, who's young as well. So personally, that's what I think would be good business. Now, there's rumours we want 50 million euros for Eddie Nketiah. I don't feel like that's going to happen. I think we'll be lucky to get 40 million pounds for Eddie Nketiah. Now, we might get 30 rising with add-ons to 35, and I think we should accept that. But Marseille, it's a good move for him. De Zerbi obviously likes him, believes he's Premier League proven with goals, and believes that he can score goals over in Ligue 1, which I'm sure he will do. I think it's good moves for all three of them. Smith-Rowe will go and get first-team football at Fulham, and if he stays fit, will be a fantastic signing for him. Reiss Nelson, likewise, I think even last night was showing a little bit of sharpness, and in the transfer window, as they call in the window, for the shopping window, I believe it would be a good signing for Leicester. And I think that Marseille, wanting Eddie Nketiah could have a good career over there as well. So I think they're the players that we're looking to be getting rid of in the next couple of days, maybe in the next week. I expect that to happen. I do. I expect both of them to be in a position where they're going to go and follow Smith-Rowe out the door, which means Arsenal have got some money to spend, people. And that's on top of the transfer kitty that we've got, which we're being told every year is around about 200 million, right? So if we're making near on 100 million from those three, add that to our transfer kitty, you're touching 300 million pounds to spend. Now, one of those deals is Calafiori. That means we have got money to go and get a goalkeeper to replace Ramsdale if he leaves. It means we have got money to replace Nelson, money to replace Smith-Rowe, money to replace Eddie Nketiah, money to get the midfield sorted. Arsenal are no longer skint and worried about PSR because we're selling these players and it gives us the opportunity to spend that money, which, by the way, is going to be 100% profit. So I'm a big fan of these three sales. And I think it will definitely potentially transform Arsenal's summer window now because these players had to go. But they have to be replaced. Like I said to you, we didn't replace Granit Xhaka and we regretted it. That means we have to go and replace the players now that we sell. Now, Calafiori's coming in and maybe Jacob Kivior could be going out. If Nelson's going out, we need a winger. Now, Eze might be that guy that we've spoken about. I think Nico Williams needs to decide what he's doing, and it looks at the moment that Barcelona are favourites for that. But other than him, who else could we get? Now, we've got Ryan G in the house, big up from Wolves. Pedro Neto, asking a question earlier about him. Could Pedro Neto be the answer for Saka's cover? I would love Pedro Neto. I'd love him. He's one of the players I've been asking Arsenal to get for the last 3 seasons? But everybody says the same thing. You can probably say it with me now in unison. What about his injury record? What about his injury record? Well, we'll be real. It's not good. It's not good. But I don't need him for 40 games like Wolves. I need him for 15 to 20. I need him to come in when Saka needs a rest. I need him to be an impact from the bench that can come on and actually cause some real potential problems and chaos and havoc. Every time I saw him when he was fit for Wolves, maybe Ryan G, you can tell me in the chat, he was assisting or scoring goals last season. He's a very good player for them until what happens? He gets injured. But if you're bringing him on and you're wrapping him up in cotton wool more and you're not relying on him for 40 games a season, I think he'd be an excellent signing. And I think there's genuine interest from the player, his reps, and the club at Arsenal. We need to try and get this one done. Because if Eze isn't going to be that guy that people say we can go and get, then maybe Pedro Neto is. Now, I believe the price that was being touted was around £50 million. Personally, I think that would be good business all round. Wolves get fair money. They go and replace him. Arsenal get the guy they want. Pedro Neto comes into Arsenal. Now, Ryan's saying that he's an Arsenal fan. Spurs are sniffing around. We definitely do not want them getting him. 50, 60 million is the price that I'm hearing as well, which I think is fair. And Ryan's also said, yeah, Pot's always a massive threat when he plays, but the hamstrings aren't good. Yeah, that's never good, mate. Definitely. A little steep. I don't know if it is, bro. I don't know if it is. Maybe the injuries have caused it to be a little steep. Maybe 40 to 50 is around about right. But for me, I think if he is fit, an absolute baller. That's for sure. So that's got to happen. Donna in the house. Big up. Mrs. Potts, please make me Donna Potts Jr. Big up to yourself, Donna. Hope you're well. And thanks for the donation. Much appreciated. So that's one option on the wing. I don't see many rumours at the moment with Arsenal with wide players other than Nico Williams and, of course, Eze and Pedro Neto. There were murmurings around Bakayoko. Some Arsenal fans were suggesting that potentially we go all out for a Bayern Munich winger and look at Kingsley Coman or bring Serge Gnabry back or maybe going for Leroy Sané. I don't see that happening. There's nothing at the moment suggesting that there's any realistic opportunity of one of those names coming in. For me, I would say Nico Williams is the one I want. If Nico Williams is going Barcelona, then yeah, I would suggest Pedro Neto or Eze are the two. That's what I would say. Now, I don't know what the rumours are on Nico Williams. There's suggestions that Barcelona are very interested. The reps are suggesting that they're trying to get a deal done. They're trying to get him to the club. Nico Williams, at the moment, would like to go to Barcelona, but there is some form of delay in that discussion. I don't know if there's an 100% opportunity that he's going to be ending up at Barcelona. He's certainly a player I believe would be a phenomenal signing for Arsenal. But is he going to want to go? I believe they'll probably get an agreement in place. Now, according to Fabrizio Romano, there is some Nico Williams news. So let's have a look at what they are saying. This one comes in on the transfer news. So Transfer News Live, another good source on Twitter that tries to look at all of the reliable sources and journalists out there. And he says, from Romano's words, this was a few hours ago now, Barcelona have an agreement with the agent of Nico Williams on his salary and his contract structure. Now it's totally up to the player. Now, if Mikel Arteta wants him, he better have sold him a project. Let me tell you that now. Because Barcelona would have. Laporta's come out and said, don't worry about finances. They're absolutely fine. Barcelona are minted. They'll get whatever they want for the players that they want, right? But when you look at it, I think there's an opportunity here for Arsenal to really try and tempt him to play. Because this would be a signing that lights up the Premier League. This will be one that everybody will talk about. This isn't like a Mudryk where it's like, oh yeah, he's supposed to be good, isn't he? This isn't a player that is like an Enzo. Oh, he's supposed to be good. We saw how good he was. He lit up the Euros. He's been good for Athletic Club. Barcelona want him for a reason. The problem I've got with this deal is I honestly believe Nico Williams wants Barcelona because he wants to go play with Lamine Yamal, Pedri, all the other guys over in Barcelona that he knows. But if we're getting Merino, maybe we can try and tempt him. There was a lot of reports from Athletic that Mikel Arteta wants this guy as his winger. And he sat down with his reps and he's done a presentation in the style of a Declan Rice type presentation to show him where he fits in the league, where he fits in with the team, how he fits in, where positionally he plays. If that's the case, I pray that Nico Williams was impressed. And I would say it would be braver for him to come to Arsenal. It's a different league. He's coming in as one of the most exciting players. He's coming in with a group of players that are similar in age to him, that can grow with him. It would make sense. But I can't help but think that this deal might be too hard for Arsenal to get done. Because I believe he wants to go to Barcelona. And I believe that as long as they're happy to go with, like Romano is saying, the week's wages, the salary, the agreed terms, agents' fees, if that's done, I think Barcelona is going to be the one. I think it will happen. So unfortunately, I have to say it. I believe Nico Williams will go to Barcelona. But maybe Arsenal should turn their attention to Eze and Neto now. Hell, it might be that we look at both. Eze might replace Smith-Rowe. Neto might replace Nelson. Who knows? That's the sort of window Arsenal need. We need a window to move the needle. We need Manchester City to look at us and go, bloody hell, I don't want them signing them. I want them to look at us and go, Calafiori, Merino, Eze, Neto. Wow, that's scary. That's not good. So let's be real, a squad that's already very scary in parts already. You add that form of quality to it. Yeah, you've got a hell of a team there, man. So that's got to happen. Nearly 900 of you in chat. That must mean there's close to 400 likes, right? Yes, well over it. Let's get that up to 500 people. Do me a favor. Make sure you click on the pinned comment. Order yourself some beard trimmers. They're 20% off. Do not miss the deal out. It's Manscaped. Best beard trimmers you will get. Click on the link. Go to Beard and Face. Go to the Beard Hedger. get that into your basket, go to the checkout. You'll see 20% has automatically come off as long as you use that link. Make sure you use the code FTM20 if it is not done so, but it should do that automatically, people. So make sure that you support the sponsors of the channel by purchasing the best beard trimmers that you will get. Now, let's talk a little bit about what might happen if we're to lose Eddie and Nketiah. Now, this is where I think we should look to close. A striker. For those that didn't check it out, make sure you do. I did a show on Victor Gyökeres. It dropped yesterday. It's only 10, 15 minutes long. It's well worth watching. I looked at all the stats. I looked at the stats of Havertz at 9. I looked at the stats of Gyökeres at 9. And I saw that there's potential for us to look at this as an opportunity. Now, there's a lot of reports and rumours suggesting that, yeah, Victor Gyökeres is the guy that Arsenal are going to go in for and that he is the main target if they want a striker. But then I saw reports today from Julian Alvarez. So I looked at that and I thought, is that happening? And I thought, surely not. Why would Manchester City sell us their backup striker to go and be our number one striker? But they've done it before with Gabriel Jesus. The difference is we weren't going for the title back then. We'd finished 5th. They were happy to give us Jesus and Zinchenko. And then they thought, oh dear, they got a little bit too close to us when the last time we did that. So I would have to say that for £77 million, as much as I think he is a quality player, I think there's more legs on Gyökeres coming to Arsenal than Julian Alvarez. If Alvarez is for sale at all, I believe he'll go abroad. And apparently Chelsea are interested in him also. Manchester City have got more chance of accepting a bid from Chelsea than from Arsenal. I don't think Alvarez leaves City to go to Arsenal. I just do not see that happening. So when I heard this rumour, I just looked at it and kind of chuckled. Because it just reminded me of Jesus a few years ago. When they were like, have our striker if you want. Because you ain't going to be a threat to us. And then they thought, blimey, they nearly were a threat to us. I ain't doing that again. There's no way if one of those players was available, Jack Grealish, Julian Alvarez, Akanji, trying to think of other players that would be available now from City that you would look at and want. Any of those players that you fancy, I don't think Arsenal would get him. I really don't. So I think personally, Man City might look at this and think, right, keep Arsenal away. They might look at it and say, keep Chelsea away. And I think Atletico Madrid being interested from what I saw today, that might be more of an option. Now, he might not want to sell Alvarez Pep. He wants to sit him down and keep him. Likewise, KDB and Edison. They don't want to be losing those 3. But if he does go, I expect him to be going abroad. I do not expect to see him leaving and staying in the Premier League. So Atletico Madrid could be the club for Julian Alvarez. Let me know in the chat, who would you rather have? Alvarez or Gyökeres? Wow, that rhymes. Gyökeres or Alvarez? Just put a name. Alvarez or Gyökeres? Oh, excuse me. Just put a name in the chat. Gyökeres. Who else have we got? Alvarez. Wow. Should do a poll really, shouldn't I? Gyökeres all day. Gyökeres. Osimhen. Gyökeres. Wow. Okay. Enough said. Gyökeres is the guy that everybody seems to be set on. Now, there are reports suggesting that he's the one that we might be looking at. And that if we are going to get a striker at all, that it will be Gyökeres. Now, I can't help but think those people that are saying we don't really need a replacement in the creative midfield, we don't really need a striker. If we don't get either of those and we sell Smith-Rowe and Eddie, haven't we weakened the strength in depth of our team? We probably have. Because if Eze was to come in for Smith-Rowe, you'd go, wow, upgrade. Bit disappointing that he's left, but upgrade. Gyökeres comes in for Eddie, you go, wow. Neto comes in or Eze comes in for Nelson. You've got Neto, Eze and Gyökeres for Eddie, Nelson and Smith-Rowe. But some people are saying Smith-Rowe can go, Nelson can go, and Eddie can go, and we just bring a winger in. But that means we've let 3 players go and brought 1 in. Make it make sense. if we're selling players, we've got to replace them, guys, because the bench needs to look strong. And the bench last season had Eddie, Nelson, and Smith-Rowe on it. If our bench this season has Eze, Neto, and Havertz or Jesus on it, that's looking strong. That's looking very strong. So for me, I think Gyökeres would be a good signing for Arsenal. Is he the number one? No. But the number one isn't available, people. The number one is Alexander Isak. And he isn't available. Now, he might be if you go chuck 150 million at Newcastle, but I don't think that's going to happen. And even if you did that, there's no guarantee that Newcastle will sell and Isak will go this summer. So I think we have to move on from that one. But for me, I do think we need one. And people have said to me for so long now, answer this question, Dan. One of the hardest questions to answer. Isak's available next summer. Gyökeres is available this summer. What do? Wait for Isak or go and buy Gyökeres? My answer is go and buy Gyökeres. 2 reasons. 1, I'm done waiting. I've waited long enough. And 2, who's to say that Isak wouldn't come next season even with Gyökeres? We buy Gyökeres and then Isak comes in. There then are 2 strikers with Havertz as third choice and you sell Jesus to Saudi. That could happen. We're a big club, right? Who remembers in the invincible season when Kanu and Wiltord were back up to Henry and Bergkamp? No one chuckled going, no chance. So I say go and get a striker now. I say go and do it. Because we'll be getting money in for Eddie and money in for Smith-Rowe and money in for Reece Nelson. We're going to need a striker. We're going to be able to have to replace Reece Nelson. We're going to have to replace somebody with Emil Smith-Rowe. Whether it is Ranieri, that's a different conversation to have. But for me, definitely on the wide areas and up top, we're going to need strength in depth. Let me give you an example. Saka's played an unbelievable amount of football. Saka gets an injury. Jesus gets an injury. Who plays wide right now with Nelson gone? Martinelli? Trossard? We need a winger, guys. Big time. Because Jesus is never 100% fit. And Saka gets a knock because he's played another 40 games. Who genuinely comes in on the right then? Fabio Vieira? Do you want him on the right-hand side? My point is, we need a winger. Then you do the same up top. Havertz gets a red card and Jesus is injured. Who plays up top? Has to be Trossard. But what happens if Trossard's already on the right because Saka's got a knock and Jesus, as I've just said, is injured? Who plays up top then? Martinelli? Then who goes on the left wing? See what I'm getting at? So we're going to need to go and get a striker and a winger. If Nelson and Eddie both go with Smith-Rowe. We're going to need to. And trust me, guys, we've got the money. We've just worked out we've got the money. We've worked out that we've got the money because they're giving us 150 to 200 million transfer kitty. And we're putting near on 100 million from those 3 sales on top of that. And that's without the sales of Tierney, Ramsdale, potentially Kivior, potentially Zinchenko if he was to go. So let's just be realistic about it. We've got money for a striker. We've got money for a winger. We've got money for midfielders. So let's go do something about it. This left-hand sides thing at Arsenal, we can sort that out this summer. We can sort that out this summer by a winger, by a left-back in Calafiori, by Merino in midfield, and with a striker up top. What that then does is it allows Martinelli to actually settle and have some sustainability around him on the left-hand side, who, by the way, shot in the early hours of the morning against Man United. For me, was our best player. I thought he stole the show when he came on. So that means if Martinelli is looking beside him and he sees Merino now, he's looking up top and he sees Gyökeres, and he's looking behind him and he's got Calafiori and Gabriel. He's like, cool, I've got some sustainability. Declan Rice is at the base. I've got my left-hand side sorted. Now let's see what happens up top. And watch Martinelli shine. Get the right pieces of the jigsaw puzzle around Martinelli. You'll have a brilliant season with Martinelli. Trust me. He'll be one of our better players again. But for some reason, people are giving up on him. Some people say, let's sell him. What? Our top goal scorer of last season before the one just gone. You want to sell him? I ain't selling Martinelli. No way. No way. So for me, I just have to be realistic about it. Right? I have to be realistic about it. I want to be in a position where we are strong in all areas. I want to be in a position where Martinelli and Trossard on that left is like that in every single position on the pitch. I want Gabriel Martinelli and Trossard as our left, everyone to go, God, that's strong. I want that to be in every single other position. That's what I want. I want us to look and go, oh my God, look at our bench. Look how much quality is on our bench right now. That's what I want to be seeing, man. So I'm in a position where I think it can be quite exciting. I think I'm in a position as well where we can have a good window. And I think we're in a position where we could be quite strong coming into this coming season. I look at the potential for our bench to be, let's go through it. Timber, Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, Thomas Partey, Jorginho, Trossard, or Martinelli, Jesus, or Havertz. And that's without any signings coming in. That's without a potential Eze or Neto being thrown into that mix as well. That's without Fabio Vieira and Ethan Nwaneri. We need a squad of 19, 20 players, right? And we can get that with the right players we got bringing in the door. So with Romano saying Merino is definitely favourites to come to Arsenal, with Calafiori passing his medical today about to become an Arsenal player, with Romano saying that it's not the only player that we're looking at bringing in midfield is Merino, with links to a winger and links to a striker, could Arsenal have one of the best windows yet? That's my question to you. Could we be in a position where we actually have one of the best squads in the league? Which, to be fair, we ain't far off having anyway. I will leave you with this. I want to be in a position where next season Arsenal go serious in all 4 competitions. I don't want us going for the league and going, right, let's play the kids in this Carabao Cup game because we're going for the league. And Brentford at home at the weekend is more important. I want to get to a position where Manchester City are in, which is, who's next? West Ham in the Carabao Cup. Cool. Go smash them. Who's after that? Man United at Old Trafford. Do you want to rest a bit, boss? No, we can rotate. We've got a squad that's good enough. I ain't playing the kids. Let's go do it. What I get frustrated about is in the last few years, we've absolutely binned out of all the domestic cups because we're going all out for the Premier League or all out for the Champions League. Let's go all out for four competitions because winning breeds confidence. And if you get to February, March time and you're doing that with a Carabao Cup, trust me, you've got more chance of winning something else. I truly believe that. Why do I believe that? Because the facts don't lie. Look at the last 2 decades. Who's been the two most successful clubs in English football? The last 2 decades, it's been Chelsea and Man City. Who's won the most League Cups in the last 20 years? Chelsea and Man City. Because they take it seriously. And they think, right, what's the first trophy we can win, guys? What's the earliest opportunity that we can win a trophy? February, March. There we go. Go win it then. Go win it. Why are we trying to prioritise and say that this should be the priority? All of them are priorities. We're not in a position with going over 20 years without a Premier League and over 30 years without a League Cup and a Champions League and over 5 now without an FA Cup. We shouldn't be in a position to pick and choose. We need to be saying this is the one we want, right? We need to be saying this is the trophy that's coming next. This is the one that we want. So that's where I'm at. So that's where we're going to leave it. That's where we're going to leave it, people. It's been an absolute pleasure. I personally feel like this could be an exciting start to a window that I believe we need to be looking at prioritising another 4 positions. We've got our left back. We need to get 2 midfielders. We need to get a winger and we need to get a striker. That for me would be brilliant. The perfect window. Calafiori, Merino, another midfielder in the ilk of a Joshua Kimmich, Eze, Pedro Neto, and Victor Gyökeres. That would be the dream. Is that going to happen? Probably not. But I hope if it doesn't, we get as close to that as possible. That's what I want to be seeing. So that's what I've got to hold on to and cling on to, of course. Listen, we're going to leave it there. Tomorrow morning, I'm back, 8:30, and it's all transfer news. There's a lot overnight that's happened on other clubs. We're going to be talking about that in the morning. So do not miss it. Set your reminders, hit the notification bell. Make sure you hit the like and the subscribe, please, people. They're 2 buttons that are absolutely free. At the moment, there is 509 of you that have hit like. How many of you have hit subscribe? We're at 21.9. Let's get that up to 22K tonight, please, people. All you've got to do is hit the subscribe button and we will hit 22K overnight. And that will be beautiful. So please make sure that you do that before you do leave. All you've got to do is click like and subscribe. If you do click on the pinned comment, make sure you go and get your beard trimmers from Manscaped, which is 20% off. All you've got to do is click the link. 20% off will come off automatically from the beard hedger. Go to beard and face, beard hedger, add it to your cart, check out, and you'll see that 20% has come off. So please make sure that you do that as well, people. And we will see you next time. Take it easy. And as always, up the Arsenal. Laters, people.
Yes, people, Manscaped is back. But this time, it's not for below the belt grooming. Manscaped brings to you the Beard Hedger, the best product on the market when it comes to beard trimmers. The Beard Hedger is unique due to its number of radiant settings. As someone who's purchased this, I won't turn to any other beard trimmer. Check it out for yourself at manscaped.com. And don't forget to use code FTM20 to get 20% off of this product.